essentially he was saying we're making lots of money on JT's customers. We're scalping.
A disturbing account from a former salesman who accuses a major auto dealer of racist behavior inside the lawsuit he's launched.
Chipping away and doing damage, RTV6 is working to solve a problem these drivers say is hazardous, and they're fed up with it.
And then they say they were just doing their jobs, but the community still says they're heroes. The new body camera video revealing the moments local officers jumped into a burning building to save lives.
This is RTV6 News at 5, working for you.
I'm Amanda Starantino.
And I'm Mark Mullins. Good to have you here with us.
Tonight, RTV6 is bringing you inside details after sitting down with a man who says he was fired in retaliation for reporting racial discrimination.
Jeffrey Turner has worked for Mercedes-Benz for decades, working his way up to the Lafayette dealership where he says he helped build sales. But Turner says he was a regular subject of unwelcome verbal harassment, being called racial slurs, and asked why NFL players weren't kneeling during games. And the lawsuit says there was one board meeting in particular in which Mike Razor, the head of his auto group, continually used that racial slur.
I specifically can remember sales meetings when I was told if we cut the lights off, we won't be able to see JT. And that's in a room with 30 people. I'm the only African American in the employment of the company. So at some point, I have to turn the light back on.
Turner's lawsuit says he was retaliated against after he reported the racial slurs to Mercedes-Benz of North America, fired and told to never come back. He is seeking damages and a trial by jury. We have reached out to the dealership for comment and have yet to get a response.
Now to a wide-scale problem affecting thousands of drivers on roads in Hancock County. People are unhappy with how INDOT is treating crumbling roads, and they say the materials and methods crews are using are damaging their cars.
RTV6's Stephanie Wade is speaking to drivers about their complaints and to the state for an explanation.
State Road 234 was just painted this week after undergoing what's called a chip and seal treatment to fill cracks and maintain the road. But folks who live in Hancock County say this kind of treatment is creating more problems than solutions.
The chip and seal is very dangerous in my opinion. They've done it on several county roads. Myself, I ride a motorcycle quite a bit, and if I'm going from a normal pavement and then I hit the chip and seal, very scary because the bike gets extremely loose.
Tony Seiler lives in Hancock County and likes to drive his motorcycle. He takes State Road 234 often, but last week, INDOT laid down what's called chip and seal treatment, a move criticized by people who live there and say the rocks go flying, breaking windows and windshields, chipping car paint. So why is the road being repaired in this manner? Well, frankly, it's cheaper. About 1/10 of the price cheaper, actually. INDOT tells me State Road 234 was resurfaced about 3 years ago. Typically, they resurface roads every 10 years, so they used chip and seal in the meantime to fill in the cracks. If your car has been damaged, though, you can file a tort claim with the Attorney General against INDOT. Working for you, Stephanie Wade, RTV6.
Thanks, Steph. And a problem that affects your day-to-day life and no one seems to listen. If that's happening to you, connect with RTV6 and we'll see if we can help. Send us a message at workingforyou@rtv6.com.
New today, we're getting a look at body camera video showing officers risking their lives to save a child and others trapped in a burning building. Those 4 police officers are being hailed heroes after that Tuesday morning fire. Today, they say they were just doing their jobs. RTV6's Kelsey Anderson has their story.
These are actions that police officers, deputy sheriffs, troopers do every day in central Indiana, in our state, and in our country.
4 officers, 3 from IMPD and 1 from Cumberland, are responsible for saving a family of 3 and a 16-year-old from a burning apartment building.
Most people think it's unique and extremely over the top, but on our district, on our shift, that's the norm. That's how every single person is on our entire shift. So it didn't really surprise me how we acted. That's just how we do things.
The officers arrived on scene a couple of minutes before firefighters and knew there were people asleep upstairs. When Officer Russell and Lieutenant Roger Wagner made it upstairs, one went right and one went left. That's when Russell saw a 7-year-old boy asleep on the couch.
Instinctively, I just said, I got the kid. So at that point, I stood up, kind of stopped caring about the smoke, grabbed the kid, put his face into my shoulder over here, put one arm around him, and at that point, he obviously woke up.
When firefighters arrived on scene, they were able to get into the apartment where the fire started. They found a 40-year-old woman unresponsive. Firefighters administered CPR, ultimately saving the woman. She's still recovering in the hospital. Working for you, Kelsey Anderson, RTV6.
And tonight, that woman is still in critical condition but stable. Also, firefighters say the fire alarms in the unit where the fire started were not working.
With RTV6's Hiring Hoosiers, we are always on the hunt for ways for you to expand your skills or find jobs. And tonight, we're learning about some major opportunities lying a couple years in the future. Gordon Food Service is expanding its distribution center in Westfield and adding hundreds of new jobs over the next several years. The company says it plans to add over 400 new positions by the end of 2025. It's going to start hiring in the spring of 2021 once the new warehouse it's building is complete.
Time now for your Storm Team 6 forecast, and it's been a pleasant and warm fall day with plenty of sunshine here.
But it'll be time to reach for a heavier jacket over the next few days. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory is here with your first forecast.
You'll need that jacket by Saturday. We're in a state of comfort right now. 75 in Indianapolis, same in Terre Haute, even where it's a little cooler. Temperatures are still comfortable. I just want to show you what we were alluding to there. 38 is the temperature in Bismarck, North Dakota, while in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, it is 70. We'll watch this dramatic temperature shift to start drifting to the south and east over the next 24 to 48 hours and impact Indiana Friday. Through the evening hours, our skies will be mostly clear. Temperature down to 62 at 11. This is what we wake up to. Temperatures in the 50s instead of the 40s. That's one change. Talk about a few more changes that arrive in the next 48 hours coming up.
Hundreds of guns are now off the street as part of a months-long federal investigation. The feds raided G2 Sports Products on the far west side, seizing nearly 400 guns valued at about $224,000. Investigators say G2 Sports gave handguns to an out-of-state resident, made false records, and failed to report gun sales. The business agreed to surrender its federal license, which means none of the owners will be eligible to reapply for their license or deal firearms again.
Turning now to a crime alert, police in Kokomo need your help in finding a man wanted for attempted murder. Officers are looking for this man. He is Harrison Burnett. The 33-year-old is accused of shooting a woman in the leg last month as she was leaving her home on North Apperson Way. Police now have a warrant for Burnett's arrest on several charges, including attempted murder. If you think you know where he is, call Kokomo Police at the number on your screen. That's 765-456-7017.
A shakeup at the police department in Anderson today. That city's police chief is out following an alleged dispute over the arrest of his son. Anderson Mayor Tom Broderick says Tony Waters will be removed as chief effective this weekend. This goes back to June when Waters' son was arrested by Indiana State Police over an alleged domestic dispute. Adam Waters was an Anderson police officer at the time. The Anderson Herald Bulletin says the Madison County prosecutor released a report accusing the police chief of acting unprofessionally during his son's arrest.
Facing an uphill battle in Indiana, State Senator Eddie Melton is running for governor. His key issues so far are education, health care, and raising the state's minimum wage. The Gary Democrat officially announced his candidacy last night after a statewide discussion tour earlier this summer. To win the job, he will likely have to win over Republicans in all corners of the state. But Melton said people of both parties have been frustrated with state government and may be looking for a change.
How do we reach out as a Democrat in two Republican districts to educate them and to non-traditional districts that Democrats haven't traditionally gone to talk about those issues that matter to them the most?
Melton will first have to win his party's primary. He is one of 3 Democrats who announced their candidacy. Republican Governor Eric Holcomb has announced his re-election campaign.
New today, the Board of Trustees is commenting on the resignation of the superintendent of Northwest Hendricks Schools. Mike Springer stepped down after a dispute over the football coach at Tri-West High School. Springer did not say that's why he is leaving, but the decision comes as Coach Tyler Bruce remains under investigation for sexual misconduct with a student. Springer recommended the board fire Bruce, but the board decided to keep him. Many parents are upset at these decisions. Bruce has not been criminally charged and denies wrongdoing. Springer also recommended the board terminate 2 other school employees in connection with the situation, but the board went against that recommendation as well. Today, the board says it is grateful for Springer's services and that he played an integral role in the district's test scores and strategic plan. It says the district's business manager will take on the superintendent's responsibilities for now.
Still ahead at 5:30 on RTV6, new numbers show more officers are dying by suicide. We will take a look at what's leading to this and the possible solutions.
But first, here at 5 o'clock, tracking people by phone seems a little big brother-ish, but it very well could be the key to your peace of mind. Why both the trackers and those being tracked say they like advances in this technology.
And next chance of rain, even thunderstorms, that arrives Friday. We'll get into the timing and what it means for your Saturday coming up.
Only at Bob's Discount Furniture.
This is RTV6 News at 5, working for you.
New tonight, justice for the family of a 1-year-old Indianapolis girl who was killed in a 2019 shooting. Her killer, Darren Banks, has now been sentenced to 53 years in the Department of Corrections. Last month, a judge found Banks guilty of murder and battery by means of a deadly weapon in the death of Malaysia Robsons. Police say Banks and Brian Palmer admitted to shooting into a home full of people on North Whitfield Avenue in March of 2018. Palmer also faces murder charges. He's scheduled to face a jury in November. City leaders called the shooting a wake-up call to motivate the community to stop senseless gun violence.
We turn now to Washington and a dramatic escalation in the impeachment inquiry battle as the Trump administration decides to defy the investigation, refusing to cooperate.
The president and his potential 2020 rival, former Vice President Joe Biden, are sharpening their attacks against each other. ABC's Rachel Scott is in Washington with more tonight.
In Washington, a constitutional clash over impeachment sparking a partisan divide.
What we see in this impeachment is a kangaroo court, and Chairman Schiff is acting like a malicious Captain Kangaroo.
The failure to produce this witness, the failure to produce these documents, we consider yet additional strong evidence of obstruction.
The White House drawing a line in the sand, refusing to cooperate with the impeachment investigation. In this 8-page letter from the Trump administration to Nancy Pelosi and House Democrats, a lawyer for the president raising concerns that House Republicans are unable to call witnesses as part of the growing impeachment inquiry. Those rules are typically set by the majority party. The White House calling the impeachment inquiry unconstitutional and baseless.
You don't even need an impeachment inquiry to force a lot of these people to testify.
President Trump firing off several tweets today, labeling the impeachment inquiry as ridiculous, defending his conversation with the president of Ukraine yet again as a perfect call. But according to a summary released by the White House, it was on that call that the president urged the leader of Ukraine to investigate his potential 2020 rival Joe Biden and his son Hunter. A whistleblower alleging the president abused his power then sounded the alarm. And today, out on the campaign trail, Biden went on the attack, calling for Trump's impeachment for the first time.
Donald Trump has violated his oath of office, betrayed this nation, and committed impeachable acts. To preserve our Constitution, our democracy, our basic integrity, he should be impeached.
And the president responded to Biden's comments within minutes, calling them pathetic. Biden tweeted back, thanking the president for watching and asked him to stop stonewalling Congress. Rachel Scott, ABC News, Washington.
Things have really changed with the evolution of technology. Instead of being home by dark, kids now have apps on their phones that track them wherever they go, even keeping an eye on them in traffic. Many parents use apps like Life 360 to do that, like Lori Carr. She says she uses it with her 2 teens. It shows when they leave the house, where they are, how fast they're driving, and when they make it home.
It was more for safety. Just knowing where they are. Instead of calling or even getting nervous or is he an accident, I could just look.
Some have voiced concerns over privacy when it comes to tracking your kids. Police saying that they could try to disable the app or play a trick with it. But that mother we just heard from, the app works like a two-way street in her family.
Sometimes I'll wake up on the weekend and no one's home and I'm like, okay, well, where is everyone? So I can check the app and see that she's at the store.
And my son has actually saw that I'm at the grocery store and asked me to pick things up.
I like the security that it provides my mom. I know that she doesn't have to worry about where I'm at.
Lori's son says he plans on keeping the tracking app on his phone when he heads off to college this January. And get this, tracking teens isn't the only option here. Many users utilize tracking apps to keep an eye on their elderly parents to make sure that they are okay.
Stocking up on ice, filling up on fuel. Hundreds of thousands of people are without power in Northern California right now as one of the state's major utilities cuts off grids in hopes of preventing wildfires. Utility PG&E says this is just phase one of the outages that could affect nearly 800,000 customers across Northern and Central California this week. Critics say the utility should have been addressing its infrastructure before now instead of cutting off power altogether. However, PG&E says it is doing this to prevent deaths. Nearly all of California's biggest and most deadly wildfires have happened in the last 20 years, with many of them sparked by electrical grid failures.
It's only October 9th, but no, you do not need to check your eyesight. That is a snowstorm on the radar, already starting to hit the middle part of the country. Right now, we're tracking the storm's progress as it could blanket snow from eastern Washington and Montana to Colorado and the Dakotas, Minnesota, and northern Wisconsin. Parts of the Dakotas could pick up over a foot of snow, and the wet, heavy snow is already causing broken tree limbs and power outages.
They still have leaves on the trees, too, in many of those spots.
And that makes it worse even.
It makes it heavier. So October 18th, 1989, our earliest snow. Guess what's not in our forecast?
Good. Snow, I hope.
Yeah. Maybe some patchy frost by the time we get late weekend. We'll get into that. Let's just skip tomorrow for a second and jump to Friday. That's where the action is. Strong south wind Friday, temperature of about 76. A cold front, the same one that has the air cold enough for the snowstorm in the northern plains, will deliver some thunderstorms to central Indiana and then much cooler temperatures. Low pressure will be around Minneapolis, St. Paul. This is Friday morning. Snow in the Dakotas into portions of Minnesota, and then along this boundary, chance for showers and thunderstorms increasing across central Indiana during the day. Friday afternoon, 76 degrees. Watch the cooler air slide into central Indiana during Friday night football games if some of these aren't delayed as a result of thunderstorms. Temperatures will be falling. 8 o'clock, 61 in Indy, 50 in Lafayette, and then transition complete by Saturday morning. Temperatures will be in the 30s. We're in a state of perfection right now. Lucas Oil Stadium's looking good, isn't it? Roof closed. Temperatures, they're in the 70s, where they should be this time of year. Muncie's the warmest. Otherwise, temperatures low to mid 70s. Say hello to Polar. It's hard to say Polar without adding
Vortex.
Bear.
Express.
See, you're thinking weather. That was good.
Right.
Polar vortex. I was thinking of polar bear with that white coat. Look, he's posing for a picture. You'll need the raincoat Polar maybe on Friday. Temperatures, they'll cool tonight with clear skies down to 60 degrees. We won't be as cool tomorrow morning in the 50s. At noon, 69 degrees. Afternoon high temperature tomorrow, warmest in the 7-day forecast at 78. We'll have more cloud cover, but no rain. Strong south wind during the day on Friday, gusting between 20 and 30 miles per hour. Look at the cold air poised to move our way Friday night. During the day Friday, with that increasing chance of thunderstorms, temperatures low to mid 70s. By the early afternoon, 1 to about 7 or 8 is when I think the line of showers and thunderstorms becomes most prominent. As we move to the weekend, we dry out, but we also get very cool. Saturday's high only 55 degrees anywhere in the state. Kickoff for IU and Purdue, temperature of around 50 at noon. Up at Notre Dame, it'll be in the 40s Saturday night for the games. Should be dry everywhere. Temperatures below average next week.
Bring your hooded sweatshirt for those games, definitely.
Yes.
All right, thanks, Kevin, for that.
I'm thinking the big parka.
That too, right? Hey, bratwurst, yodeling contests, and wiener dog races. What could be more fun than all of this at the annual Fall Festival happening this weekend? The Athenaeum's German Fest is celebrating its 11th anniversary on Saturday. Festival organizers say it's expected to bring in more than 6,500 people this year. It's all happening from noon to 7 Saturday at the Athenaeum at the corner of East Michigan and North New Jersey streets.
It's like fun.
That'd be a fun one, right?
Yeah. Well, still ahead, your headlines on the Now Indy and your forecast with Kyle Mouse. This is the news at 5 on RTV6.
Days from 4:30 to 7.
Hello to you. I'm Julie Grant with Court TV Live, and we're bringing you live coverage of a murder trial happening right now in Tallahassee, Florida. Catherine McBanawa, the co-defendant in a murder-for-hire plot, decided to take the stand in her own defense this morning.
Did you have anything to do with the murder of Dan Markell?
No, ma'am. And before she even got on the stand, her co-defendant, Sigfredo Garcia's attorney, asked the judge that the jury be sequestered during deliberations, and the court granted that request. McBanawa and Garcia are accused of killing an internationally known legal scholar in a murder-for-hire plot allegedly orchestrated by victim Dan Markell's former in-laws. Garcia could face the death penalty if he's convicted, and McBanawa could spend the rest of her life in prison if she's convicted. Another man, Luis Rivera, is already in prison for his role in this plot, and now he has testified against his former friend. We'll continue bringing you live coverage of Catherine McBanawa's testimony here on Court TV. And as always, count on us for gavel-to-gavel coverage. I'm Julie Grant. Now back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Julie. All new at 6 p.m., a safety warning for anyone who rides a scooter. The big thing you should do before you even step on board so you don't get injured.
But first on the Now, Indy, we're testing out some of the most interesting and unique infomercial items. Which stuff works surprisingly well and what turned out to be a dud. Next, you're watching RTV6.